even the best analysts are saying check out 2021 results instead. And so what we're seeing in the marketplace has been a lot of acceleration in the NASDAQ, especially. Those are technology companies. Those have been getting a lot of attention, a lot of buyers coming in. But in other areas, like he said, we're not seeing the impact or the results. And so what we're trying to do at Gimbal is we're trying to protect your money. We're trying to grow your money. We really appreciate your trust in doing this. I can't tell you how much we really appreciate that. And we take that personal. We want to do the best that we can for you. And that includes protection, and that also includes taking some risks. And so that's where we are this week in the markets. Keith, you got anything to add? You want to look at them?
Well, you know, if you're heavily invested in the NASDAQ, you're feeling really confident right now. If you're heavily invested in the S&P 600, you're wondering why you're not playing along with the game. And David Ryan is somebody I really respect his opinion. He's one of the greatest investors in America you probably never heard of. And I was looking at a tweet he sent out, can't tell what day this was, earlier this week. But I know you've shown us in the past couple of weeks. If you would show us what a 200-day moving average is again, he said basically only 14% of the New York Stock Exchange stocks right now are above their 200-day moving average. So although it seems like a really productive market, there's just a lot of stocks that are really struggling out there.
Yeah, so here's a shot of the S&P 500, which is a broad-based index. There's going to be a lot of different carvings of the U.S. and global economies in this index alone.
Doug, I can't see it because of your alerts. They're covering up the graph for me.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. And so this index is going to include a lot of different slices. Healthcare, technology, yeah, they're in there. Some of your favorite stocks are in here. Some of the stocks that you've fallen in love with over the years. I can tell you my favorite stock's in here. I wish I could tell you its name. I don't own it, but it's one of my favorites. Oil is in here. There's a lot of different components to this, but this is an example of an index that we've been watching, and we've been looking to see it build some strength. But as you can tell, it's below this black line, and that's what Keith was talking about. This black line right here is the 200-day moving average.
And if you look over to the left on your screens there, sorry to interrupt, Doug, but it's just really interesting. If you see that 28.22 and that 28.55, I can't see when that actually happened, probably last fall. That those numbers just bounced off of that thing like a ping pong ball. And then if you maybe show everybody a NASDAQ version of this same chart, that would be really interesting, I think. See the difference for that thing where it bounced off the 200 back in the fall and then it came blasting through it. And there's just a different picture, like a completely different set of stocks, and they're completely acting differently. And then if you even show them the Russell 2000 or the S&P 600, it's just really interesting to see how those differing companies, mostly U.S. companies, are just not even doing anything similar to one another. It's crazy.
I wanted to touch on a couple areas too, Keith, and this is one that we don't talk about a whole lot, but I want you guys to see what bonds have been doing, and it's been very interesting to see. This is just a general snapshot of 20-year treasuries. These are long-term bonds, and this type of movement going upward here, I mean, to me, that looks like a technology growth stock. It's just been unbelievable the amount of attention this thing has received. And when you think about the markets, and I'm going to get into this a little bit deeper in a few minutes, but when you think about the markets, what you're dealing with is basically people's reactions. You're dealing with people's fear, you're dealing with people's appetite for more, and what you've seen over the last several weeks that we've been in quarantine is you've seen a fear. And so a fear tends to flight towards safety, and bonds are perceived to be safe, Other assets like gold are perceived to be safe. Even in central Indiana, farm ground or property are perceived to be safe. And I'm just going to tell you, and Keith tells me this all the time, nothing's safe out there. Nothing is safe. And so to have your mindset separated from the asset is critically important. And that's what our desire is to do at Gimbal, is to help you understand the markets and keep our mindset sharp and separate from what we're seeing in fear and greed out there. Keith, anything else to add to the markets? Do you want to look at oil? Do you want to look at gold? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just want to talk about this real quick. If you see that 179.70 right below that green rectangle that says 21%, that is a day's trading activity of this particular ETF. I've got your guys over the top of what it is. I don't see what. So this is 20-year treasury, yeah. So somebody, can you get it to land on that day? I don't know what day that was. Probably March. Yeah. Was it March 6th or 7th right there?
Oh, come on, fingers.
It does that for me all the time.
There we go.
March 9th.
March 9th.
So somebody bought that exchange traded fund at basically $180 because they thought it was a safe place to be. And they're basically down 10% today buying treasuries. And so that's what we're talking about. It's every asset class has risk associated with it. And you may not know what it is until you know.
One of the crystal ball, or one of the disclaimers I love that Amanda created is we don't have any crystal balls. And when we're looking at times like this, we just believe cash is king. And cash is another one of those places that can be an investment. Always think of cash as a place where you can park your money. Doesn't mean that you have to live there forever, but it is part of your investment process. So we'll get into a little more of that as we march along here, but that's that's a snapshot on what's been going on in the market. And Amanda, what do you have going on? Last week we learned a little bit more about Account View, and to our clients, I hope that was helpful. I hope that you've taken the opportunity to get on to Account View. If you haven't already, please do it and check it out. You'll be able to see the progress in your accounts. And it's a great talking point for conversation between me and Keith. One of the things I like to do is when I'm on the phone with you, we can get on Account View together and we can say, okay, here's how we're doing. Here are the assets. Here's what's inside of them. And here's how they've been doing. So check out Account View. But Amanda, what do you have going on this week?
Well, I don't know if you can tell my new background, but it's pretty exciting here at Gimbal Financial. We've got progress being made, and some of us are back in the office a couple days a week. So if you guys are interested, we can socially distance and you can come check out the place. You can kind of see what we've done with this space behind me. And then you can also check out the current office to see what it'll look like before and after. So we're doing it safely and from a social distance, but we'd love people to come over and check it out. Some of you have already done that, which has been really exciting to see people's faces. And we're all learning on this Zoom thing, but I don't think I hit record for the disclaimers. And so I'm just going to put these up for an extended period of time while we continue to talk. But again, for our compliance people, I'm just going to share the disclaimer, and we can keep dialoguing. But
and I just want to weigh in on the new office. Thank you, everybody who's come by. I was in the new office on Monday, and I had 2 people come by. It was great. And so please come by the new office, check it out. You guys have built this. You're the ones that are allowing us to do it and to be able to operate this way. And it's fun and exciting. So we want you to see it. We want to have you over and so you can check out the new place. Drive to the back where it was a garage, but now it's a productive place.
we've got hand sanitizer.
I don't even think there's a number on it right now. I don't think we have a number out there. It's just the front house is just wrapped in that Tyvek construction paper. So when you may have to drive past it, hit the next roundabout and come back by, but it's 620 North Range Line Road.
Yeah, right on. Keith, what's going on with you? What do you got to share with us?
I'm back at the twos. I got some comments from last week's ideas, and just thinking, we were going to do a dialogue about supply and demand, and I ended up just doing that, throwing it out. I don't know if it's on our Facebook or whatever, but I had these two things come up into my mind today. I got my own sanitizer. Yours looks a little sketchy to me, Amanda. So both of these things kind of gave me a picture of supply and demand. We still have, and I bought another supply of toilet paper to do that supply and demand video. And today was the first day I cracked it open, and we still haven't used what we had before this whole thing happened. And so I'm not sure what really happened with that whole thing, but I got a feeling that there's going to be a tremendous supply of toilet paper here in about 90 days. And then we've had some health challenges in our house for a good number of weeks now. And we bought this hand sanitizer for guests that came into our house to use probably 6 or 9 months ago. And this is how much hand sanitizer we've used in a high stress scenario in our house. So I'm not judging anybody else. I'm just saying a little bit goes a long way. And so if you got extra supplies of sanitizer and toilet paper, good luck with that here in about 90 days trying to get rid of that. But that's just my random comments of supply and demand. But I read to you like my thoughts on if a young graduate, if I was given 5 pieces of advice: think differently, buy wisdom, like what you do, live adventurously, and generosity wins. And I touched on generosity a little bit last week with the $300 gift you can give away. I want to go back to that too, because generosity is probably the most understated part of financial planning that nobody really talks about. But what it does is it helps you draw a line in the sand with how much is enough. That's a fictitious question, that how much money is enough. There's never enough money. And so until you can come to grips with that answer, you're probably gonna be more stressed out. And so generosity, the ability to give something away, knowing farewell that you don't know how much is enough, just lets you know that there's people in need all the time around you, and lets you see how they're doing. So it connects you with people in need when you're generous. Secondly, strategically with the generosity thing, I think it's a good time to look at your assets. If you've got assets that have depreciated or appreciated and you feel like you have enough for your lifestyle, maybe it's time to give some of those assets to some loved ones that probably need a hand right now, whether it's your children, nephews, nieces, or whoever. The depreciated ones, if you think they're going to come back, it gives you a chance for them to get the appreciation in their estate. The appreciated ones, if they need some resources, then they'll have the gains in their income taxes rather than your own. So those are my 2 planning ideas. And then my 2 activities for the week. I always come up with 2 things for your weekend to keep you on top of things. I've found that when I slow down like I've had to, that there are things that I do that I don't fix. Does that make sense? Doug pointed out to stop doing something a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember when, but what I'd say is stop doing what isn't the efficient way and go on YouTube and figure out how to more efficiently do it. Does that make sense? So
are you?
Yeah. So I was. Say it again.
Did you YouTube something this week?
I did. With Excel, if you want to do a formula on a specific cell, you put a $sign before the column and a $sign before the row thing. And then if you drag it down, then it keeps that specific cell in it. Well, I wasn't smart enough to figure out how to do that.
So the spreadsheet thing, Excel? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I was working on a spreadsheet to drag down that same cell in it. And I'm like, I keep typing these stupid $signs in rather than just dragging it down. And so I went on YouTube and figured it out. All I had to do was hit an F4 over that field, and it was done like that. And so that's what I learned by YouTube this week. And you can do it in a lot of things that you're just doing inefficiently. You might just stop and say, there's probably a better way to do it, and go on YouTube. And then I give you, this is my specific YouTube for you to watch this week. And it's called, and Doug, you probably don't need to watch this because your crew is already connected to this. 5 dangerous things you should let your kids do. 5 dangerous things you should let your kids do. I watched the video.
What's defined as dangerous? What?
and I don't get any revenues for this book, but I actually, when I watched this video, I went and bought their book. So throw things from a moving car. Woo! How about that? There, and this is a big debate, is a banana peel.
Littering. That's called littering.
Hey. Kind of, is a banana peel littering or not? They taught me in Boy Scouts, and I'm an Eagle Scout, that it's biodegradable and it's not. We got into an argument over that with some people because it was too
certified Eagle Scout litterer.
Yeah, okay. And so then here's one for you, Doug. Now this is really living on the edge. Lick a 9-volt battery. Can you do that one?
I'll do that.
I'll give you one last one, but the video is worth watching. It won't take as long as me telling you this. That one was pretty dangerous. Ooh. This one Caleb did. We were walking on 106th Street when he was about 4. This one says throw rocks. Caleb, we were on the bicycle trail. He picked up a rock and threw it at a BMW and just cranked that thing. I was like, and the guy was in a hurry. He kept going. So yeah, live dangerously a little bit. I know this whole coronavirus has ignited a pandemic of fear, but maybe if it's raining out there today, all you'll go out in the rain and get wet. It won't hurt you.
Yeah,
that's all I got, Doug.
And I do love shaking it up, and kids do that. Kids allow you to shake up life, which is just a blast. You may have kids or you may not have kids. Wherever you are in life, I want to tell you, this coronavirus, there's something I'm going to miss about it, and it's the simple life. As a dad, these last few weeks have been the best weeks of my life. I've really enjoyed the slowing down and hanging out with our boys when they're just doing silly things, spraying each other with a hose when it's 40 degrees on the trampoline. Who does that? Well, boys do that. And so anyway, no, live adventurously, get out, shake up your routine. It'll inspire you, and you might just be able to encourage someone along the way. So today, I wanted to follow up on our conversation we were having a few minutes ago, and keep, Amanda, feel free to weigh in. You know, your views on this are real important to me too. And one of the thoughts I want to encourage you to fall in love with is the process. I'm naturally not a process person. It's had to come from just wanting to do things better. And I have a good friend, his name's Ryan. He's also a business associate of ours. And he once suggested I read a book, Chop Wood, Carry Water. And this book is all about falling in love with the process. If you were an athlete, if you're an artist, a painter, you've had to fall in love with the process at some point in time in your life. You just don't get the result. If you've received just the result without much process, you know, you're probably going to make some mistakes because you got there too fast, or you got there with some luck. And so if you can fall in love with the process, then you're going to really understand what you're doing. You're going to have some conviction behind it, and you're going to have some failures. And those failures are going to give you a lot of opportunity to keep learning. And so with investments and stocks, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, there's process to this. And one of the processes starts with your financial plan. We talked about wills last week. There are other areas of this financial plan that are really important, and they all have to do with where you want to be. And so if it's sending your kids to college, if that's your dream to do that, if it's your dream to be able to vacation with your spouse, if your dream is just to worry less and you want to have a safety net to get you there, we want to help you, and we want to talk about the process. There's also a process with choosing investments. And this is something I'm really proud about with Gimbal. We've spent a lot of money, we've spent a lot of time researching and redefining our processes, fine-tuning our processes and how we're making decisions. And one of the beauties of falling in love with the process is most of the time you will not be alone. There will be somebody there who says, hey, don't forget about this. Or, hey, I know you're aiming for that, but did you know that that's actually already there? And you don't have to go create it. You can learn from this person. Let me introduce you to this person. And so that's what we're discovering at Gimbal, is the process of choosing your investments. And again, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your trust to be able to make these decisions for you. It's a humbling thing. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine and client yesterday who said, hey, I'm on board with what you're doing. It's not what I would do right now. He was very candid and told me that, and I appreciated that. It meant a lot. And so to be able to say, hey, this is what our process is all about, is something that's real important. And we want to hear from you. Keith and I want to communicate with you on the processes. And in doing so, one of the biggest risks is to fall in love with an investment. And I want to encourage you that these investments are just companies, and sometimes a great company is not a great stock. And we have a few of them in our community who are great companies, and they may be a great stock, but it might be temporary. And so you might see us sell your loving stock. And it's not that we dislike the company or anything like that. It's just not the time to own the stock, and we see opportunities elsewhere. So in trying to separate your emotions from your ownership, just remember, you don't have to fall in love with this stuff. We can always buy it back again, but fall in love with the process of what you're doing. And we look forward to sharing more and more about our process and how we make our decisions with you. That's all I got. Keith, you want to add any of that or close us out?
No, I can't even remember the name of the book that we put together to help all of y'all, like cleaning up your finance. It's like financial planning or whatever that, but we said that in there as well, is that any asset you have, it's just not worth falling in love with because it doesn't love you back. It could be my pinball machine over my shoulder there or my coat rack or whatever, but definitely financial assets don't have any kindness or care for you. And so to get attached to them can be very dangerous to your finances, I think. But I'd say the process is the big deal. We've been very process oriented over the whole time that Gimbal's been around. That's not only on the investment side, but on the service side. We got on this broadcast probably a half hour, maybe 40 minutes before it started today because we were concerned about a couple of things of how this thing worked. Found out that my subscription had expired, and none of you could have made it here today had I not got on earlier because I wouldn't have figured it out. It took me 15 minutes to figure out how to get Zoom back on board. And then we also found out that Debbie couldn't join us as a panelist because of some technical difficulty. So she's out in the crowd with you all this week. But Debbie, how's it going? We'll see you next time. But that's all I've got. I hope you all have a great weekend. Doug, Amanda, anything else?
One more thing, if you guys could just update your Zooms before you exit out, it might ask you to just update it. So just to make sure that your process through this goes smoothly, or as rocky as ours sometimes, but we're all in the process of learning. And so if we can make it better, let's do it.
If you want to invite somebody, I think you can even forward them your link, can't they, Amanda? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks for taking part of your Friday and joining us, and we'll hope to see you next Friday.